we have a basic household budget. For the intent of this example, we're going to look at an ongoing or pay period budget. In other words, this budget is specifically set to track the money coming in one particular pay period and how it is used and how it goes out. So we're pretending like this person gets paid, or let's just say me. We're pretending like I get paid bi-weekly, which means that each pay period pays me for 2 weeks, and it'll be 2 weeks before I get paid again. So we're going to say that we received our paycheck on July 1st, and it'll be July 15th before we receive another one. So July 14th is the last day that those funds will be applied before we roll around and get more. So I've gone on and filled in the first column, but let me explain the columns to you just really quickly here. I don't want to take up too much of your time with this, but the first column is what I call the cost of living. We have here rent, our car payments, our daycare, our electricity, our water, our cell service, and so on and so forth. All right, the second column is the budgeted amount. It's how much money we have set aside for each of those costs of living. And it kind of is self-explanatory. If you have any questions or concerns, my contact information will be right on the screen at some point in this video, as well as just below, so that you can feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to make it clear. Alright, so our next column is the paid amount. That's how much we're actually going to pay for these services and items and products. Alright, and then our last column here is the budget amount remaining. It's how much we have left over to use for these particular, for the cost of living after we've paid whatever we've paid for it. And if this is not clicking or making 110% sense to you, please do not give up. Do not walk away. Just stay with me for a few minutes, and it's going to all make sense and come together once we plug in the numbers. And it'll make even more sense when you get it and use it. So, again, at the bottom of your screen, feel free to contact me so that you can get a copy of this template and use it for your own good. Right, and the last column here, and to be honest, the most important one, the one you need to keep your eyes on once you're filling all the rest, is the money column, I call it. It shows the amount, the money you have coming in and the amount you have going out. Now, I've gone ahead and filled in a few things here, but you could really change any of this to make it work for you. You might get paid in cash advances. You might call it might be commission. You might not want to call it paycheck. You know, so whatever your income is called, that's what you would fill into these two cells. All right, and then this would represent the total that you received in this pay period. Now, when you get down to this section here, this ought to be your banking or tracking of the money that you have on hand. So I called it cash on hand. You could call it whatever you want. You could call it money available, whatever you want. All right, but I usually use this particular row to put what I have in the bank. It's just how periodically I'll check my bank balance, like, you know, on a daily basis maybe, or however often I need to. And then I plug in the amount that I have in the bank right here. And it helps me because I'm next going to subtract from it whatever I have remaining to pay, whatever I still need to pay. And that way I have a snapshot of whether or not I've overspent already, and if not, then I'm going to have some money available. And that way, if I have a lush fund, if I have, you know, if I want to save, if I've got a vacation I'm trying to save for, whatever the case may be, I know how much money, I know how my money's looking. All right, so let's get right to it. And this shouldn't take long, guys. You've been great. Let's plug in some numbers so that we can see how this all works, okay? So for my rent, let's say that, and it could be mortgage and you would change it, obviously. Let's say that we're going to use $1,500 for rent, $400 for a car payment, $150 for child care, $250 for electricity, $100 for water, $80 for cell service, $250 for groceries. And let's say that we plan to dine out and we're going to set our budget at $100. And let's say that we're going to get our hair done and we plan for it to cost $100 as well. All right, as you can see here, this template is already set up to fill in your final column. How much is left? How much you have left in the budget to use for each of those costs. So as you can see, if we're looking at the rent, This works two ways. This table works two ways. So you want to look at it from top to bottom, like I just outlined it, but you also want to look at it from left to right. You want to say, okay, I set aside $1,500 for rent, as you can see it all outlined in yellow, and I budgeted $1,500. I have not paid the rent yet, so I still have $1,500 left over for rent in my account, my pocket, wherever you keep your money. All right, so that's the case. So now let's go in and also put in our check. Let's say that payday has arrived and we are happy about it. So let's say that the paycheck was $3,000, and let's say that the bonus for the paycheck was $500. Now what I didn't put on here that I usually like to do is you always want to build in some cushion. I went ahead and filled in my miscellaneous or cushion areas with the hair and the dining out, but you always want to leave a miscellaneous space in the budget, and you always want to make sure that you don't budget yourself completely tightly. In other words, this amount, $29.30, ought to be less than this amount, the total income. If it's not, you're cutting it too close if it's even, and if it's not even, you're already in trouble because you've already budgeted more than what you expect to have coming in. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. What you want to do next is check your bank account once you've got your money. All right, so as you can see, the spreadsheet automatically, I have it programmed automatically to show you, to do the math for you. All right, so you have $570 available to you. That's going to be left over if you use every single penny of the amount that you budgeted. And let's hope you don't. It's always fun to have money left over. All right, and so let's see here. As you can see, your cash on hand was $3,500. The total cost remaining, if you'll look, this amount comes directly from the column, the bottom of the column, the total you have left. All right, so that's going to be all that you have left over after you've paid whatever you've paid. All right, that's how much you still need to pay. So you want to be careful to make sure that your bank balance is more than that, and that's why I have it set up this way. All right, so last but not least, let's get to this last column here and get it done, okay? So let's say that we paid $1,500 for rent. Let's say that we paid our car payment and it was $400. Those things tend to be static and stay the same, as does daycare. Let's say the electricity was exactly what we thought it would be this month. But let's say the water was a little bit less and we only spent $80 on that. Let's say that we paid $80 for our cell service as usual, but let's say we got a bunch of bargains at the grocery store and only used $175 of our budgeted money for groceries. And then let's say when we dined out, we got some great coupons and we only spent $75. And let's say that when we got our hair done, we used $80 of that budget because our stylist gave us a discount because we are a valued customer. That means, again, look at the spreadsheet doing the work for us. We used, out of our budget, we budgeted $2,930. We used $2,790, right? So we have left in our budget $140, but we don't need it. Let's pretend like we're at the end of our pay period now. So we actually have now $140 left. So throughout the pay period, had you been updating your cash on hand, you would be going in and making sure you knew what your bank balance was and putting it in just so that this spreadsheet showed the right amount. So let's pretend like we've been doing that and we know that we've withdrawn $2,790, as you can see highlighted in yellow as well in the middle column at the bottom. And that leaves us with $710 cash on hand. Well, we only have, I'm going to highlight that in green, outline that in green rather, $140 left in the budget that we have to use. And so that leaves us with a grand total of $570, which I've outlined in blue, left for whatever our beautiful hearts desire. So that is how we use Microsoft Excel to monitor our money.